And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, folks. We're giving you a heaping helping of snarky, funny, and perhaps some information interspersed in there too. And big-time plasma filaments happening in the northeast. And those did not appear to eject at all. They appear to be have landed back on the photosphere there, but it looks like it's occurring on the other side of the sun, so we're not going to do any close-ups of it today because there is too much to cover. Don't forget to check us out on BitChute, and did you see our tutorial on how to use the smAsho forum? I love this post from Paul Pearson, local pro cyclist, one of the best in the valley, I might add, and check it out. You're somewhere between 1984, Fahrenheit 451, A Handmaid's Tale, Brave New World, Soylent Green, Logan's Run, Animal Farm, Brazil, Gattaca, The Matrix, Lord of the Flies, and Clockwork Orange. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you may never see such brilliant posts, and you may never get to share them. So it's Instagram. We're also on Gab, and we are on Twitter, believe it or not. Shout out to Terry. We're also on Minds, the alternative to Facebook, where you won't get shadow banned, censored, etc. Let's get back to the sun. Here's 171 angstroms on HelioViewer. A couple bright spots there, 0 sunspots. There are the magnetic fields. And we seem to be getting a Dorito-shaped isosceles triangle again here, folks. And it looks like it's pretty scary stuff going on there. Perhaps this solar activity is brought to you by Frito-Lay, I'm not sure, but I'm terrified about this triangular feature right here. Let us know if you think that's sponsored by Jay Leno, and if he's still on the Doritos team. And Jay, if you're out there, leave a comment if you're on the smAsho team. Anyway, there's the North Pole area. It looks like it's a little bit bright up there. And fortunately, the poles appear to be increasing in power, something that we'd like to see. Here's the 193 angstroms view, and we see some significant coronal hole features there, all the way from the South Pole up to the equator. So we should be getting some pretty high-speed solar wind from that soon. In the meantime, we see a little increase in the electron flux as forecasted and so on. And I would keep an eye on that South Polar region. It's quite holy down there. And let's move on. Radio flux, 10.7 centimeter variety, is still at 71. Here's where planets are, just passing the new moon. And there's where we expect to see things in 1 week, God willing, if all goes well, and some sort of communicable disease doesn't happen to throw planets out of alignment and cause the sun to suddenly turn into a neutron star. No, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. No, yes, no, yes. Here's where stuff is above my head. I like to use in-the-sky.org. Check it out, Jupiter just rose, which is usually the 4th brightest object in the sky after only the sun, the moon, and Venus. Next, we've got the GOES X-ray flux, which is flatlined, as you would expect, for all you veteran viewers out there who have any idea what I'm talking about half of the time. Next, real-time solar wind, and I need to check my status, and I need to vanish off the screen. So the phi angle's been shifting around. We don't see a particularly strong total field or southward orientation, but we see a bit of a southward disparity there in terms of the total field. but pretty convergent in the BTBZ. Phi angle is around 295. I wouldn't be surprised to see a magnetic connection with those coronal holes to happen, as it appeared to have right here. So we like the way Discover is now shading in these portions, and back online for that matter. So anyway, solar wind density is about 5 protons per cubic centimeter here. Solar wind speed around 400 kilometers a second. So pretty nominal backgroundy stuff there. And there's the data from ACE. There's the last literally 10 minutes filled in before your very eyes. Here's the geospace magnetosphere movie. And the Van Allen belts are looking large. And indeed, with electrons, they are charged. So nothing really to comment on there. Looking a little weak. No. I crush like bug. Crush like bug. You're a winner. Crush like bug. All right. Here's the ground magnetic perturbations. Another 4 hours of data from University of Michigan Geospace Model V1.5. And we archive this daily. If you want to know what happened on another day, well, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of daily space weather videos. Go look at an older one. GOES magnetometers continuing to look a little bit sawtoothed here, as we've forecasted and cited this for the reason for must be a month. And we haven't seen any North Pole oriented current sheet, at least where the planet is. You can see the whole current sheet is red here. South Pole polarity. Here's the line of sight field plot. The last one was as if you're looking down at the solar North Pole, and this one is from Earth's view. In this case, stereo A would be out here, stereo B would be out here, and those are necessary to get this data. Electron content isn't that high, but it's been getting into warning levels. Just barely the last 2 days. 2 or 3, I think 2. Anyway, there's the forecast. Relativistic electrons are at moderately high levels there. And there's the last 3 days of the GOES electron flux. And we're missing one of the spacecraft there. Hopefully it's not damaged. Perhaps it's just receiving a software update. I don't know why it's not online, but next we'll look at the ionosphere map here, courtesy Government of Australia, Bureau Meteorology. And we saw some ionospheric anomalies in the last couple days. This is a bit anomalous looking also here. It's looking a little wobbly there. Highly discharged on the nighttime side. This is the kind of situation where you have a red blob above you and your radio signals go into space instead of getting re-emitted by electrons. Anyway, that's 6 hours of data. Here's the latest image. That one coming in at 7:30. We're doing it early today, folks. Are you aware that somebody has been playing online FPS Wolfenstein Enemy Territory with the gamer name Hydroxychloroquine? Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah, hydroxychloroquine. Can you say it? Hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine. Next, we're going to look at the windy.com pressure map and let that advance about 24 hours. Because if you keep looking at the same data, folks, you might even understand how it relates to other data. See what I'm doing? See what I'm saying there? All right, so anyway, there's where we expect pressure zones to be around noontime tomorrow. And that will be 1600 Zulu. Let's see if there are any comments. No comments. Again, folks, if you're not viewing live, you're viewing Memorex. It is at twitch.tv/smAshomash. And there is indeed a free app you can download which does cast to things like Google Chromecast enabled devices. Just saying. And here's an earthquake rundown. We see a deep one at Papua New Guinea. That one coming in at 8:48 UT yesterday. It's a 4.8 magnitude at 144 kilometers depth. Another series of quakes around Kamchatka that I can see on the map. And let's just scroll up the list here and get through this section to continue on. And that one right in the middle of the Kamchatka Peninsula at 188 kilometers was a 5.0 magnitude. And it looks like it's underneath a bunch of volcanoes. Check it out, the Kamchatka Peninsula sees a deep quake. Following that, what was it, a 7.5? 7.5 is a big quake, folks. And right after that one, this one, 3 hours later, 2 hours later, at Indonesia. So deep quake there, and then 2 hours later, deep quake there. Slightly smaller magnitude, but almost identical depth. Next we see a deep one at Alaska. That one's pretty far inland compared to the previous deep quakes we've been seeing there. Here's a very shallow quake at Hawaii. Let's look at that. I would not be surprised if this Hawaiian quake... Oh, it's under Kilauea. That one right under Kilauea. Please leave a comment if you know what Pu'u'o'o is. That's my favorite caldera name. Pu'u'o'o, yes. Became famous when Kilauea erupted. Anyway, that quake there was at negative 0.9 kilometers, I believe. Yeah, negative 0.9, so 900 meters above sea level. Clearly magmatic activity. And we've seen more under Kilauea lately. I mean, more under Mauna Loa lately than we have under Kilauea. And the Mauna Loa magma chamber has been, the Mauna Loa upper cone has been indeed expanding a lot over a significant period of time. There's a deep one at the Mariana Islands. And congratulations to Bernie Sanders for winning the Democratic primary in the Mariana Islands. Super, super important Mariana Islands voters coming through for Bernie. And lastly, we see a 4.7 at Kurilsk, Russia. It's a deep quake at 146 kilometers. No. Don't make me... I will... You see this pen? While the pen is mightier than the sword, you should carry both. All right, anyway. And we do have a small cosmology segment today. It's going to be talking about insanity and cosmology, and it'll be very nice. And there'll be no point where you look at the screen and exclaim, "Oh my God." Or maybe it will. I don't know. You may say, "Oh my God." You may even pearl clutch. I don't know. But so I've put this article in Cosmology and Insanity because check this out. According to a computer model, International Ozone Treaty stops changes in southern hemisphere winds. Do you think that sounds as idiotic as I do, folks? Yeah, somebody tweaked their model and they now think that mankind is changing the winds because of ozone, and so we've reduced CFCs and we've reduced CO2 and that's restoring wind patterns. Yeah. So that's a story on phys.org where if you go to the Earth section, you'll see about 1/3 of the stories will be directly about global warming, and 90% of the stories will have some sort of a reference to how, oh my gosh, it's so hot that it's cold, and we're seeing 2 standard deviations more snow in the northern hemisphere for 3 years in a row. What will you be doing while you're shut in? Enjoy your vacation, by the way. I work for the food supply, and guess what? We're still working. And in terms of the Northeast North American portion, there is no disruption in the supply chain.
You really need some help, but a regular psychiatrist couldn't even help you.
I'm talking mankind. You really need some help. You need a team. I'm not talking about $80 a week. You need people having meetings.
Go to Vienna or something.
All right, so talking about insanity and cosmology, here's a fantastic image with chemical spectra. And guess what we're not seeing there, folks? I'll get to it in a minute. It's from the XMM Newton Epic Observations, and this is a thumbs up and a shout out to mainstream astronomy, coming through with some lovely spectra, which, by the way, does not show any evidence of Markland convection. So once again, if you think stars are electric, thank God they're not. But if you think stars are electric, you're not going to see Markland convection in this image either. So once again, a great image here showing, I believe it's ionized iron spectra, manganese, several different chemical signatures in it. And this article's from the phys.org Astronomy and Space section, talking about supernova remnant W49b. So giving us insights into the truth and the not truth about astronomy and cosmology. So yeah, that's let's see, we're talking about blue is iron, and yeah, I'm not going to start looking up chemical symbols, but you get the idea. And studying supernova remnants tells us a lot about what is going on and what is clearly not going on in space. And what is clearly not going on is electric stars, as they're made out of condensed matter, thank goodness. And that's, let's just say everything's not electric. Let's talk about smashomash.com/forum. We've got a section that you might be interested in, as it's become a fairly popular topic, and while I would prefer not to cover it, here's one about cleaning products that you could use that would be effective. Things like alcohol and soap and water and bleach and surgical spirit and surface wipes and hand sanitizers and how they work. And here's one about how farmers are delivering food because there is no real disruption to the food supply, at least not in Northeast North America. And here's 12 experts questioning the panic because people are losing their you-know-what. I would also recommend that you take lysine. Yes, lysine. As if you have a lousy diet, lysine is one of the things that you will not have enough of. And it's crucial for the formation of hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. And it's essential, which means you cannot produce it inside your body. You must consume it through food or supplementation. So it's available in various foods. As you know, there's a bunch of herbs that have it, as well as fresh meat, cheese, fish, things like that. It's a cheap supplement, and lots of people already take it. I've recommended it to many people. Silver has finally reached a peak here in its recent run-up, and it's up to $14.53. I don't know if you were listening to me when I was saying, hey everybody, silver is currently less than $12 per ounce. Perhaps you should have. Were you listening to me when I was saying, hey everybody, it's December 2018 and silver's $13 an ounce? And anyway, let's just scroll the CNBC.com market page real quick, and let's don't look up at it and say, oh my God, too much. Yeah, so no surprise that retailers are getting hammered since many of them aren't allowed to be open. And we've got an increase in insurance companies and travel sector type companies as a result of massive multi-trillion-dollar bailouts revealed. Looks like there's been more purchasing in bonds as we see them dropping. Oil currently at $23.57 a barrel. Gold at $1,619 per ounce. Silver $14.53 an ounce. Japanese currency got a boost of 0.7 of a cent with respect to the US dollar. And the US dollar index drops 59 cents. No surprise there, that is what's happening when you print trillions and trillions of dollars. There's the current state of affairs. And if you want to read about it, feel free. Are you familiar with the term slush fund? Yes. It's a fund raised from the sale of refuse to obtain small luxuries or pleasures for a warship's crew. But it's also a fund for bribing public officials or carrying corruptive propaganda, or an unregulated fund often used for illicit purposes. You see, does that make any sense? Is that an appropriate thing to talk about during a global
pandemic?
I would have to say that it is. And we do appreciate all the attempts to
gaslight.
But it doesn't work because there's records of everything we said. Don't try to gaslight a
ninja,
as he reads the word of the day sometimes. And perhaps this is something to learn while you're shut in. Perhaps become a person trained in ancient Japanese martial arts and employed especially for espionage and assassinations. Don't assassinate your credibility, folks. Be an information
ninja.
Are you familiar with the knights who say ni? One of my favorite scenes in the Holy Grail is Dennis, the anarcho-syndicalist. So perhaps if you want to listen to some of the quotes, check out the Monty Python. What the hell?
Old woman! Man! Ma'am, sorry.
There we go, there's Dennis.
What knight lives in that castle?
I'm 37, I'm not old. I can't just say man. Well, you could say Dennis. Well, you didn't know you were called Dennis. Have you tried Opera Browser? We're going to be testing this out at smAsho Studios, Golden Cat Productions, etc. Why, you ask? Well, here's why. There's a free VPN built into the browser. I don't know if you were aware or not, but if you don't have a VPN, perhaps try Opera Browser. It's no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes. Let's see what volcanoes have been erupting. And by the way, the sulfur cycle is good for your health and good for plants. But it can also make the planet cold through processes of things like cloud nucleation. Kluchevskoy is erupting, producing a 23,000-foot ash plume. Aso is erupting, flight level 5,000 there. Dakono is erupting, exploding, 7,000-foot plume there. Likewise is Popocatépetl, 20,000-foot plume there. Sangay exploding, flight level 19,000. Revenador, flight level 15,000. And while we're unable to detect Sabancaya, please don't pitch a tent on the lower slopes. It could explode at any moment, as it's been doing for indeed months and who knows how long. Next, we'll look at the jet streams. And they're all over the place. So, I mean, geez, thank goodness that we've reduced CFCs and CO2, because now the jet streams look like this. Oh my goodness, mankind. Don't be arrogant and think mankind is able to control nature, folks. It's a ridiculous, silly, idiotic notion proposed by only imbecile. By the way, imbecile is an adjective as well as a noun. Next, we'll look at water vapor maps. Here's Africa and Europe, otherwise known as Europe. Next, we'll look at Oceania and the Far East. Next, we'll look at U.S. water vapor map. which is prettier, by the way. It's prettier, folks. And check it out. We got some moist-dry interactions happening over northern Texas, as well as a conflagration low building up off the coast of Cape Cod. Could make for the perfect storm, as there'll be some high seas out there. Pressure gradients push down the ocean, as well as effectively lift up the ocean, respectively. Respectively, there is an upper level band of moisture creating a massive pressure gradient. It's actually a fairly mild pressure gradient, but if you were flying in this direction, you would need to increase flight speed and or pitch up when you get to this less massive moist air. And let's go on to more bonus features. It's the US Doppler radar. And if this looks anomalous to you folks, it's because that's the edge of the radar range, not because somebody has put chemtrails there, because that's not a thing. Bunch of snow falling. Nice band of snow here, just every place but over my head, unfortunately. I think we received something like 7 total inches of snow here throughout the year, while the rest of the northern hemisphere received 2 standard deviations above normal, as it did last year, and as it did the year before. Oh my gosh, it's so hot that it's cold. Hey, check it out, it's lightningmaps.org. Hey, Smash Team, thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. Solar polar fields are increasing in strength, and anybody who says the word Valentina Zarkova, just show them this graph and tell them that we wish her a delightful retirement. Thanks to our patrons for being assistant and associate producers of the content. The real source of revenue for these videos is Patreon. So thanks again to our patrons. We also are on Subscribestar. And let's look at our final bonus features. It's the intensity-gram with a local yellow dwarf to show 0 sunspots. Here's the magnetogram. A couple bright spots there. One right up there. That's what I would be watching, as that is the spot where a sunspot will be, if a sunspot shall be a sunspot. Last but not least, we're going to look at the 171 angstroms view. It's all bright and sunny. It's all ionized iron. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let us know what's in your bunker. Do you have a bunch of this? Do you have any of this? It's elderberry wine. Yeah. Elderberry wine and L-lysine, folks. Perhaps try some of that. Yeah, so there is a little bit of activity kicking off there. We see some filamentary activity there up in the northeast, as well as a little bit of activity right in the earth-facing region there, a little bit to the north. So we're out. It's about that time. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Leave a comment if in the last month somebody has told you that they've only just learned how to wash their hands. Also, may that atherosclerosis, the leading cause of cardiovascular disease, be absent from your arteries.